Absolutely downpours in that area. Peaks Mill, you're next in line, another 10 to 15 minutes there in Peaks Mill and northern portions of Franklin County. And then you work your way just to the east of that. That's where we're going to be seeing just a lot of this rain. Very strong winds along with that too. Zoom out for me real quick. Remember Midwest kind of. We actually have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 4 p.m. and also a flash flood watch in effect. We have a lot going on. As we spoke about this morning, that severe thunderstorm watch, that's mainly damaging winds, but what we can't do, we can't rule out isolated spin-up tornado within these, especially on these Boeing segments where you got to watch the apex of that and also the top end of those storms where we have had tornado warnings onto that. Do we have the map of the watch on it?
A little bit of concern now showing up in southern Franklin County. It looks like, Micah, where there's a few of those little notches where it suggests there might be some slight rotation in southern Franklin. Now, there's no tornado warning, but they're certainly watching that at this moment. You can kind of see it's a little wavy in nature, a couple of notches. So they're watching for the potential across southern sections and southeastern sections of Franklin County right now.
Have they given any updates on any damage back behind there?
No damage directly associated with that particular storm. Now you go all the way back out to just to our west. You go out to places like Bullock County, all associated with the same complex of thunderstorms, and that's where they're talking about trees on railroad tracks and some other damage, again, outside of our area. Go back toward Bardstown and Cox Creek in Nelson County, a roof off a house there. Again, all associated with the same thunderstorm complex now rolling through our area. And what we're running into, as Mike has been talking about, you get to that northern flank of where this bows out, and that's where it's pushing out toward Versailles right now, where the winds have just absolutely started to increase. They're really wailing through there at this point. What you'll find is on the northern extent of it, in an area right around Frankfort or southern Franklin County, as I was talking about there a moment ago, in those locations, you kind of get the storm to run away with itself, so to speak, in the southern areas where we're talking about in Woodford County. So right in that general area that you see highlighted with that red circle, I'll change the color on that one so you can see it a little bit better. That's where you're going to run into the possibility of that storm causing a little bit of a spin up right through there. Other than that, we're talking about winds in excess 60, 70 miles per hour on the northern end down to the south there, now blasting through Versailles. All of a sudden, that's the type of situation that comes through there. It just kind of blows up on you, and those winds will roll through your area, which is what we've been talking about with that Boeing segment there, now passing through Woodford County, and again in southern parts of Franklin County, where there are indications of some slight rotation. As a matter of fact, I'll flip it over to our velocity so we can see what that looks like. We'll readjust our view. It was set and saved. And likely seeing a severe thunderstorm warning coming up for Fayette County here in just a moment. But on the velocities, I'm not seeing anything that just jumps off the charts to me, Micah, that suggests that the rotation is tight or even a broad circulation. But there's probably some very small, microscopic almost areas that would suggest that. So that's what we're watching for. And a new severe thunderstorm warning is now out for the folks here in Fayette County. This goes all the way up to Harrison. I'll pull up the official information for you. As again, we're all concerned about that, but just look at the velocities on that right there. You can see those winds just really wailing through there. We're talking Boyle, Fayette, Garrett, Jessamine, Madison, and Scott counties until 12:25, and you need to treat this as if this was an actual tornado warning, because we're talking about straight line winds that are more intense than some of the weakest EF0 tornadoes. So when you get those type winds rolling through, it can cause the same damage, and the thing about this is you can do it on a wider scale, because we have that Boeing line that's now passing through Woodford and then rolling right on. Because you're talking about with winds of this speed, EF0 tornado that comes in 65 to 85, and this is getting into the middle of an EF0 kind of category, Micah.
Oh, yeah. And now we have that severe thunderstorm warning, and that's in effect not just for Fayette County, but that'll take you all the way to Harrison County, and also that includes portions of Bourbon County, Clark County. That does include you. Now, the box isn't situated right over Winchester, but include you guys in Winchester as well. Richmond down in Madison County. This goes until what time there, Jim?
This one goes to 1225.
Okay, 1225, and that's for Fayette, Jessamine. That works your way down into Garrett County. It does include Lancaster, Richmond, Berea, the Waco area. Work your way northbound, Clays Ferry area, kind of when you come into Fayette County from Madison County. Winchester there in Clark County. That does include Paris. North Middletown, you're kind of out of it as of right now, but trust me, they're going to extend that into your neck of the woods very shortly too, and that's going to go for Bourbon County. Work your way into Harrison and includes the rest of Scott County. That's what we're watching until 12:20 for this severe thunderstorm warning. That Boeing segment, that is nasty. Like Jim was talking about, remember, EF0 tornadoes, 65 to 85 miles per hour. Can you get damaging winds stronger than that? Absolutely, no doubt about it. And this is rolling right through Versailles. Versailles obviously picking up the brunt of this just about 5 minutes ago, going down through 60. Midway, you're starting to feel the winds become pretty strong there in Midway, downtown Midway across the railroad tracks. Make your way down 60. Keeneland, we're next in line. Go off toward the airport, next in line, and that's going to be another 5 to 10 minutes before we actually see that. You look toward New Circle, Man o' War. It's going to be bad as this crosses through. I'm looking at 60 to 70 mile per hour winds within this. You want to treat this like a tornado warning. Just because you're not in a tornado warning doesn't mean you can just continue to look out the window and try to snap photos of that. We don't mind that if you're in a safe location, but when you're at the front of this, the very tip of this Boeing segment, you'll get extremely strong winds out of this. Treat this like a tornado warning if you are in Fayette County, downtown Fayette County. This rolls right through our neck of the woods very shortly. You can see the picture here. Some pretty nasty stuff. And really what you're going to be looking for, because we're actually on the east side of town. If you go toward the west side of town, that's where these storms are heading. Look down at the bottom of the screen. This is looking out toward the west. You can see 64 or 75 at the bottom of your screen. And so that's where you're looking there, not up in here, but down in there. That's pretty dark. It's pretty nasty stuff. It's going to be heading toward our direction very shortly. Another 10 to about 20 minutes working your way toward that downtown area of Lexington. Another 20-25 minutes on the eastern portions of Fayette County. So here it comes, very strong winds on the top of this. Still watching for a little rotation sitting there in Franklin County. As of right now, no tornado.
As you get out towards Versailles, running from Frankfort through.
See that. Watch it over toward Georgetown. Work your way possibly into the Stamping Ground region. I think it's actually just south of you, because we're going to be watching in this area right through here, just past Frankfort. It's going to be heading straight toward Georgetown. That's an area of concern the next 20 to maybe even 30 minutes of some spin-up rotation within this. But at the front of this, no spin-up rotation, you're going to get some damaging winds out of this, 60, 70 mile per hour, maybe even stronger than that. As we get in toward Lexington, we'll actually feel that gust there, and we're going to be right there into Lexington. Right now, we are starting off WKYT News here at noon. My producer's trying to tell me in my ear what's going on. We're just now getting into this. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 12:20 here for Fayette County. This works all the way to Harrison County and then goes southbound into Jessamine and also Garrett County and even Madison. So that does include the Richmond area, and this will extend off into Clark County. Let's check out the live picture out at the horse park. And now this is the Kentucky Horse Park, where we have actually the Creation Ichthus Festival as we're taking that picture right now.
Wow.
That's nasty right there. That's not what you want to see. They are taking shelter immediately before this storm approaches. I'll give it another 20 minutes or so before it actually rolls right through there. And you know, Jim, they have dealt with this the past several years. Granted, they haven't had it the past couple of years, but when they did, it seemed like one storm after another comes flying through here. All these events going on, yeah, just be prepared. This isn't the only location we're going to see these.
That's what Ichthus was known for the longest time, was bad weather. When they had it earlier, it was too cold or too wet, and now you're talking about severe weather causing more problems for it again today. So you know, you've got the Vietnam Wall out there too. That's what we've been out there for that ceremony, and you can see the clouds rolling into the northern parts of Fayette County, and radar is just so impressive with that leading edge, that line that is now crossing over into Fayette County, coming right along Versailles Road, and will come rolling into downtown, as Micah mentioned here a moment ago. here in Fayette County, we were looking at our sky cam, we could see a little bit of wind starting to show up here, barely moving the clouds, but you get to that west end of town, and that's where you're going to run into some pretty intense stuff starting to even roll through. You might even be able to catch a glimpse of that here. I'll flip to our sky cam, and again, we're looking off toward the western skies. Downtown's there in the middle somewhere, and you're talking again 60, 70 mile per hour winds coming our way. That's what kind of popped this warning on us with the severe thunderstorm warning, and we still have that concern for maybe some rotation to our north, but it's all about these straight line winds at this point. Here in the past little bit, according to the Mesonet site, Franklin County getting in on a 44 mile per hour wind gust in the past 15 minutes.
And Frankfurt, if you remember, was actually just on the north side of the Boeing segment. So you're talking about the Boeing segment being much stronger than that.
So imagine that, 44 miles per hour compared to what likely comes through here, 60, 70 miles per hour. Again, you're talking about just outside that bow. And now we're getting reports out of Woodford County, large limbs down on Highway 62 just east of Versailles, and we're talking about a limb diameter around 8 inches or more. So just picture that in your head. So you're talking about some pretty large stuff being blown around out there. Micah.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on with this. This is one that you watch for when you're talking about the Boeing out, and we continue to talk about that. Let's zoom in right on that, because it's heading right toward downtown Lexington, and it'll be here very shortly. I'll give it another 5 minutes before it actually reaches downtown Lexington. And what you're going to see on this top side of that, this is the Boeing segment right through here, roll through Keeneland. We're going to get an update out of the airport very shortly, and also these Mesonet sites of showing a pretty strong wind gust. Now this is really racing eastbound. Downtown, another 5 minutes or so. Commonwealth Stadium, this will work down Nicholasville Road and also Harrodsburg. The Fayette Mall, you live on the south end of town, it rolls through in just about 5 to maybe 8 minutes. That's probably your best bet. Work your way toward Jacobson Park over on the east side of town, and that's where you're going to be seeing another 15 minutes or so. The horse park is actually north of us. Here's the horse park at the top of the screen. That's not where you're going to get the strongest winds. However, you will still get strong winds. Let's look at that one more time and just show you the dark skies heading that way. This is what you don't want to see when you have an outdoor event. That's not a welcoming sight, I can promise you that. And do you see anybody outside? No, a lot of people are taking cover right now as that storm rolls right through the horse park here in just about 10 minutes. Maybe even 15 minutes max out of that. But they're trying to take precaution, getting everybody indoors and just making sure that everybody's safe. Some people still out there looking at the wall, but trust me, when they start to feel that gust, they'll be running indoors. I can guarantee that. But that is the Kentucky Horse Park, where we actually have the Creation Ichthus Festival, and that goes on through Saturday. Saturday will be much better than this, but as of right now, you're just going to be rolling through some pretty nasty conditions as we get off into the next several minutes. Here's a look once again at that Boeing out portion. It's already past Keeneland. Out toward Keeneland, just across the street, you have the airport, and we're going to be getting some updates from there of mile per hour images out in that location, or readings that is. North of us into Frankfurt read roughly 45 miles per hour. That's not even the strongest portion of the storm. The strongest portion will be rolling through downtown in just about 5 to 10 minutes. That's downtown Lexington, that is. Midway already feeling that. It's basically past you. You'll start to see that rain taper off just a bit, and that goes for you guys in Versailles. Georgetown, we have another 5 to 10 minutes before it rolls through your neck of the woods, but really what my focus is, Masterson Station area. You got the Lions Club, a Bluegrass Fair going on. It's going to be pretty nasty. If you have anybody at these events here in Lexington, shoot them a text, give them a call. I know they see it out in there, and a lot of times when you see it, you just kind of mesmerized by it, and you just want to watch it a little bit. This isn't one you want to mess with. I can guarantee that as we just watch this thing race eastbound very quickly. It's picking up speed. When you see that pick up speed, that's not good news. Those winds will be extremely strong within these 60, 70 mile per hour. And you know what? I would even go out on a limb and say we could surpass 70 miles per hour with this, which would actually put us stronger than an EF0 tornado. Nicholasville, you won't get as strong winds as Lexington, but Nicholasville, West Jessamine, East Jessamine, right on each side there of 27, R.J. Corman area, that's where we're going to be seeing a lot of this rain pull off into your neck of the woods too, and that'll give pretty strong winds, so I'd say 50, 60 miles per hour winds out of this, is you're still under that severe thunderstorm warning. And that goes into effect until 12:20. Versailles, you're almost done with the heaviest rain. It's starting to let up just a bit, but our main focus right now, the Bluegrass Fair off in Mashland Station, now starting to feel those wind gusts. People aren't running inside now. I mean, they're really going to get hammered with these wind gusts. Rupp Arena downtown off toward Commonwealth Stadium, and then work your way down Harrodsburg Road. Harrodsburg already starting to feel that rain. And as you work your way toward the south and southwest, Fayette Mall there, Nicholasville Road, starting to get some sprinkles, some pretty heavy showers. Okay, they're just now getting a lot of these people into the arena out at the Kentucky Horse Park and northern portions of Fayette County, and that's right there. As you get off that northern split of 64 and 75, that takes you northbound into Fayette County. And also, we can't forget about, it's not just Fayette County, guys, but that takes you into Scott County, too. You're sitting in Georgetown, you're definitely feeling those wind gusts, but it looks like the top side of this, the actual brunt of this, stays just to the south of you. You're still going to be seeing 50, 60 mile per hour winds out of this. So you could still get some damaging wind gusts as it rolls right through Georgetown. Scott County High, just north of the downtown. We'll get some rain here shortly, but you'll start to feel those gusts as well in about 10 to 15 minutes, as really the brunt of it stays to the south of you as you travel down 460 toward Newtown. As you work your way off towards, say, Paris, I want to span out just a bit, kind of get you updated on what's ahead. Paris, North Middletown, go up 68 toward Carlisle. Cynthiana, my friends there, across 27 and also 62. That's another area that we're going to be seeing this thunderstorm roll through. Now, albeit it's on the upside, the top side of this. You won't get extremely strong wind gusts out of this, but what you need to watch for on the top side of these things, the Boeing segments, you need to watch for that spin, and that's where we've had that spin located just the past couple of hours as it started back towards 65 just south of Louisville racing eastbound. But look at that. I mean, that is not what you want to see there on high reflectivity. That is a nasty, nasty storm right there, rolling eastbound, rolling through downtown Lexington very, very shortly, if we're not already. But Paris, you have another 30 minutes or so. Winchester, I'd give it another 20 to 30 minutes. And then as you work your way towards the George Rogers Clark area, you have the golf course out or toward the side. Keep that in mind if you're going to continue to watch this. It's racing eastbound, downtown Lexington, heads up. That's where we're going to be seeing a lot of that stuff. Guys, you got any reports over there?
Hey, Micah, Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey with you now. Watching this Bow Echo moving right into downtown Lexington. Reports now of winds that may be approaching 70 miles per hour across Fayette County with the apex of this storm. Look at the bow. It's kind of like the backward C. Look at the now the center of this storm racing right into downtown Lexington. That's where we could have winds greater than 60 to 70 miles per hour at times. A lot of reports now of trees that are down back into sections of Woodford County, into Anderson County from this same bow. But as of now, this is looking much more impressive now into downtown Lexington than what we were looking at just a little bit ago to our west when it was producing all kinds of wind damage. Traffic cam from Nicholasville and Alumni. Check this out. This is a live look right now into the Lexington area. That is on the west side of town where this storm is just now coming through over off the Nicholasville Road area. And you're seeing the wind whipping the rain there, whipping the trees around a little bit. And that's the intense part of this storm that is just now across the Nicholasville Road area on the west side of town. Notice how we take that view and point it a different direction there. The trees on the side continuing to sway in the wind. That is likely just now behind, believe it or not, the strongest gust of wind that is into downtown Lexington as we speak. So we're going to watch this storm. If we can go to our live sky cam, I want to see how that is looking from the station here in Winchester Road, because I would imagine now as we peer out into downtown, we're going to get one heck of a view from this sky cam of our shelf cloud that is rolling on into town. That is what is known as a shelf cloud. That is the leading edge of the thunderstorm. That's the leading edge of the damaging winds, leading edge of the heavy rains here as well. So as this moves right on top of you. And that's going to be here at the station within 5 minutes. We're going to see the wind gusts just absolutely go crazy. You could have wind damage, greater 60, 70 mile per hour gusts, and also some torrential rains from that as well. So again, that is right on top of the downtown area now. This is our shelf cloud. Nothing about this, by the way, is giving us any cause for concern as of now for a tornado until we look back here to the west. It almost looks like a little bit of what is known as a wall cloud trying to pop there into parts of Lexington. We'll keep an eye on that. We have a very good view of this as it comes on into town. Kind of a wall cloud, shelf cloud is what we were just looking at, how it kind of looks like a shelf. Well, back edge of this particular cloud kind of gives the impression of a wall. So we'll keep an eye on that as it works its way on through. Remember, this did spawn tornado warnings out for Franklin, Shelby counties, and points west a little earlier. That is not the case right now. We just have severe thunderstorm warnings that are out for the Lexington area. But you should treat this as if it's a minimal tornado. Why do I say that? Because, well, EF0 tornadoes can produce 60-mile-an-hour winds, 70-mile-per-hour winds. We may be getting 70-mile-per-hour winds with this storm that continues to bow. It's the backward sea that is right on top of Lexington now. Here's that damaging wind threat that is shooting through downtown Lexington. That camera view we were looking at on top of Nicholasville Road a bit ago is just behind the main part of this storm. Let's go into downtown Lexington right now. Center point, and we can show you what that looks like as the storm is now racing through the downtown area. A lot of heavy rains. We'll have to keep an eye out for some local street flooding as that continues to basically drench the downtown area. And that is just behind now the leading edge of the damaging winds that should be right on top of the Lexington area. 47-mile-per-hour gust officially recorded out at Bluegrass Airport just a bit ago. And that is, again, with this storm that is on top of the area. Back to Defender. And the lightning on the apex of this isn't necessarily impressive, but with a lot of the damaging winds we had yesterday, well, it wasn't very impressive. Now look at the leading edge of this storm. It is right on top of Hamburg Pavilion. So let's go back to our live sky cam. We're just to the east of Hamburg here. Let's go back to the sky cam and see what we can find with that storm that continues to work its way on toward the station here on Winchester Road. If we can, I don't know if we can broaden this out just a little bit, or if we're already pulled out enough on this, but the overall storm is racing its way. Hamburg is in this general vicinity over just across Winchester Road, and the leading edge of this cloud. Boy, look at that pronounced shelf cloud, the leading edge of that shelf cloud that is right on top of the area. Let's pan this back. You can actually start to see the rain shaft showing up here underneath the leading edge of that thunderstorm that is right on top of the area now. And I want to keep this shot for just a little bit because we're going to see this basically pass right on top of the station. And once this passes over us, we'll show you how the trees out in front here are reacting to those winds that may be greater than 50, 60, even local 70-mile-per-hour numbers on that. So that's probably 2-3 minutes away from us now. So let's jump back to Defender just real quickly here while we await the arrival of that shelf cloud on top of the station here, because I don't want to shortchange the rest of the area and just focusing on Lexington. Those severe thunderstorm warnings are out for areas from Boyle County, Madison County, and points north through Harrison County. But you notice here, you don't have that big arch that what we're seeing into the downtown Lexington area. Nicholasville, we're getting pounded. Back to Harrodsburg. Bryantsville, it's on the way. Richmond, Madison County, get ready. It's coming toward you as well. But again, the strongest winds with this storm are right here. And look at how pronounced that is. Wow, oh wow. Arching from Georgetown right on through the east side of Lexington, Paris, Winchester. You've got damaging winds that are on the way within the next half hour. Back to that sky cam, because I do want to catch this storm as it makes its way right on top of the station here. Should make for some pretty dramatic video. And as this continues to make its way right on top of the area, we'll pan down here in just a little bit to show how some of the trees in our front driveway are reacting as those strong winds begin to press on in. And that will be pretty extensive to see the winds whipping here. Let's pan this out just a little more to see the trees there. A lot of tree damage, by the way, into the Millville area of Woodford County, and that's what we're getting from this same line of thunderstorms that is on top of the area.
Literally,
fighting the wind. Jim's over here on camera duty, and he's trying to move the camera. So here we go now. Check this out. And the camera wasn't wanting to move in the winds. So here we go with the strongest winds that are right on top of the station as of now. This is our driveway, so we're seeing those trees that are whipping in the wind, and here comes the wave of rain. Notice how just on the other side of the road, you can't see anything. That's the visibility being reduced by those heavy rains and strong gusty winds. And in just about 10 seconds, you're going to be able to hear the rain on the rooftop through my microphone. And you'll be able to see some of these trees that are really swaying in the wind here as that shelf cloud makes its way right on top of the station on Winchester Road. So winds again out of Bluegrass Airport have gusted to officially 47 miles per hour. We could see 50, 60, local 70 mile per hour gusts. And check this out through here. Watch how those trees are just absolutely going nuts here as those 50 mile per hour winds plus begin to impact us here at the station. And that may blow our camera around a little bit, may throw it off course every now and again, but man, oh man, that's some impressive stuff as we see that thunderstorm cluster rolling into Lexington. This is what happens when you get that little band of the little backward sea showing up on radar. It had this showing up yesterday across parts of southern Kentucky that raced its way all the way to the east, about 280 miles. This is likely to hold together in similar fashion from Louisville all the way into West Virginia, and that may produce damaging winds with each and every stop along the way. All right, let's get back to Defender now and see what else we have going on through the region. So Defender, you go north of Georgetown, you go up north of Cynthiana, just some steady rains. You get south of Danville, look at southern Kentucky. You're seeing temperatures well into the 80s right now, may tickle 90 degrees in a few cases. Georgetown back to the northwest toward the Peaks Mill area. Very heavy rains, but that strongest part of the storm is right on top of the Lexington area now. Rebecca Smith is out live right now at the Kentucky Horse Park, where folks have been put under evacuation notices over the last little bit. Rebecca, what can you tell us out there?
Hi, Chris. We're inside Alltech Arena. That's where the group of folks who were down there at the traveling wall have been evacuated to. That happened just in the last 10 minutes. My photographer, Devin, giving you a look at some of the folks who are waiting here to take shelter from this storm. Now, we were down at the traveling wall all morning long. They just wrapped up a service, a ceremony, really, with local dignitaries, including Kentucky Governor Steve Beshear. Again, you're taking a look inside Alltech Arena, where the group of folks down there looking at the Vietnam Traveling Memorial Wall were told to evacuate inside to take shelter from this storm. We should mention that the Creation Ichthus Festival is also going on here at the Kentucky Horse Park, and we talked to them earlier in the week. They said they have a plan in place for evacuation in case of severe weather.
All right, Rebecca, thank you so much for that report. I was on the phone about a half hour or so ago with the folks out at Ichthus and just giving them a heads up that, hey, need to get folks to shelter, and good to see that folks heeding that advice before this big powerhouse of a thunderstorm made its way through the Kentucky Horse Park into the downtown Lexington area as of now. Got to watch for some damaging winds here around Nicholasville. I would imagine very shortly we'll start to get some severe weather reports, some trees down, that kind of report coming in from parts of Fayette County. We've had that coming in from areas just to our west, Woodford County, all the way back into sections of the Louisville Metro. But as of now, those strongest winds continue to race toward the east. Paris, got about 10 minutes. Winchester, you got a little over 10 minutes before the damaging winds begin to move on into town. And you know what? We'll be able to basically trace this line of damaging winds all the way eastward toward Moorhead and Ashland, right along Interstate 64. So if you're east of us right now, you're watching us through the Moorhead area and on farther to the east, that's going to be moving on into town as well. Severe thunderstorm warning until 1:05, Bourbon, Clark, Fayette, Harrison, Nicholas, and Scott County. So that's being extended a little farther to the east and northeast as that line, that bow echo, that's what we call it, a bowing segment in a line, that races its way through, and that's going to have winds 60, 70 miles per hour, if not a little bit greater than that. And that's going to continue to roll its way onto these. Want to check in with Micah now. Micah, you're watching the wires, you're watching Twitter, Facebook, everything. What kind of reports are we getting so far into the Lexington Metro?
Well, from the National Weather Service, we're getting reports of just basically tree damage. Now, I say basically, you're still talking about some trees that are pretty thick trees that just get toppled over, some kind of chopped in half with those limbs. We had one that was, they actually put 8-inch diameter. There you go. Where is this now? Where is this now?
Lawrenceburg.
Lawrenceburg. Okay, this is Anderson County that rolled through just about 20 minutes ago. This is what we're feeling right now. What you see out there, this is what Lexington is feeling at this moment, and it's racing eastbound as you work your way toward Winchester. Winchester, you guys out toward GRC, and as you work your way back toward the downtown region, and also on the bypass there, you're going to be feeling this here in just about 5 to 10 minutes. North Middletown, you're next in line as well. Paris, you won't feel the brunt of it. It actually stays just to the south of you, but I'm still expecting at least about 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts there in Paris and Bourbon County. North Middletown, though, in Winchester, you guys are next in line. Another 10 to 15 minutes before it rolls through your neck of the woods, and that's what we're going to be watching. Out ahead of this, you can see Mount Sterling, Owingsville, Camargo, Jeffersonville. Those are areas down 64, going to 460. Those are areas of concern here in about 30 to 45 minutes. You have plenty of time. We try to give you as much leeway as possible just to say, hey, heads up, it's on its way. Treat this one, as Chris was talking about, treat this like a tornado warning. Just because it doesn't have the red box and sirens aren't going off doesn't mean this isn't going to cause some damage. We've had history of damage within this storm, just this one storm cell. Got to watch the northern extent of that as it rolls through Georgetown. Paris, you'll more than likely, in Cynthiana, you'll more than likely get the northern extent of this. You won't get the brunt of it. The brunt of it is going to be that Winchester off towards 64 as you travel toward Winchester and toward Mount Sterling, North Middletown across 460. Those are the areas of concern. But as of right now, we've had reports of not only just seeing a few trees down, but also a funnel cloud was spotted just about an hour ago. And I know that's a long time within these cells, but it just shows that it does have rotation in it too. National Weather Service says, well, we're going to hold off on that tornado warning for right now because most of these reports are coming in are damaging wind gusts, Chris, and you saw that on the Skycam. My goodness, just about 15 minutes ago, rolled through here. It's calming down just a bit. The gusty winds have already passed us, but Winchester, Clark County, heads up, down 64, anywhere around there. Mount Sterling, another 30, 45 minutes. In North Middletown, you got about 15 minutes before it rolls through your neck of the woods.
Yeah, and I think we just actually, Micah, with this, heard our first rumble of thunder with this actual thunderstorm that is now east of the downtown Lexington area. So you look at our Skycam now, two things stand out at you. Well, the trees are still there, they're not whipping around as much as what we were seeing, and your visibility has picked up a little bit as well. So you can see a little farther because we're not getting in on the heaviest rains. Power lines down Leestown Road, around 800 customers now being reported without power, and I would imagine that's probably going to climb in the next little bit as additional reports come back in. All right, back to Defender, because I want to show you that little band of thunderstorms that continues to spin up here across the Lexington Metro. Something else to keep in mind here. Look back to the southwest. Notice additional thunderstorms trying to pop here. We'll have to keep an eye on those, as sometimes that little band of thunderstorms can develop a tail, if you will, of other thunderstorms back to the west. But across the Lexington area now, we still have this amazing little bow that is showing up. If anything, now it's more pronounced than what we were talking about a little bit ago. Zoom out just a little bit on this, Jim, and I want to show folks how far east now those severe thunderstorm warnings go. You want to talk about a high confidence in a severe thunderstorm warning being issued? This is roughly an hour away from Moorhead, and the severe thunderstorm warning wisely has been issued by the good folks at the National Weather Service down in Jackson. Bath, Fleming, Montgomery, Morgan, Powell, and Rowan counties. That includes the city of Moorhead, Mount Sterling, Owingsville, into Stanton, Clay City, over into Frenchburg, Flemingsburg with this as well. That'll go until 1:45 as this bow echo, this damaging wind producing thunderstorm complex, rolls its way eastward right on top of Interstate 64. The apex of the bow, the leading edge of it, strongest winds between Paris and Winchester as it stands right now, and that is going to continue to bowl its way on toward the east. What you're getting with this is you're getting the winds that are pushing out here much farther. Let's say you had a straight line of thunderstorms. Well, the strongest winds are going to try to bow that line forward, and that's where you can really, it gives you a great representation on radar of who's getting the strongest winds. And that's what we're seeing right now across the Lexington area, aimed right into Paris. Paris, skies are likely opening up on us. Winchester as well. You're looking to your west, you're getting that photogenic shelf cloud, that photogenic thunderstorm that is getting ready to come in. But just know that once you see that line of clouds get right on top of you, it's going to get crazy for about 2 or 3 minutes. You're going to have winds that may gust greater than 50 miles an hour. You're going to see the skies open up. It's going to rain as hard as it can for a couple minutes, and then it will calm down a little bit. But it's that initial surge of high winds that can cause a lot of issues. And you were hearing Micah talk a little bit ago about some damage being reported to the west of this. And I would imagine we're going to see that damage line continue to extend much farther to the east as we go through the next several hours, likely all the way. Like yesterday's cluster of thunderstorms, you'll see that damage line extend all the way into parts of West Virginia. Northern edge of this, let's jump into the Georgetown and Frankfort area on Defender here to show you how this action is kind of very slow moving from Peaks Mill into northern parts of Scott County. And we're gonna look at this because sometimes on the northern edge of where you get a little bow in a line, sometimes you can get a little bit of rotation on the northern end of that. So we'll keep an eye on this particular part of the storm as it makes its way into parts of Scott County, out of Franklin County and toward the east. Right on that northern edge sometimes you can get just enough little spin to get a little quick spin up or two. I'm not saying that's the case right now, certainly, but that's an area that we will continue to highlight and watch as we go through the next little bit. Let's take you into the Clays Ferry area, into northern Madison County. How about that? That's our thunderstorm that is working its way on into the Madison County area now. And that is impressive. It's ominous. And as soon as that cloud gets over top of you, that's from a live view there along Interstate 75, northern parts of Madison County. As soon as that gets on top of you, the skies are going to open up. The winds are going to crank up as well. And we're going to likely see some wind damage from that as it makes its way on toward the east. Interesting looking little setup with that thunderstorm. And we'll watch these storms. These storms, Micah said earlier, I believe Bullitt County, right, Micah, they had a funnel cloud reported. That was more than an hour ago as the storm was, this line was just taking shape. But it's not out of the question that you can get a little quick spin up in some of these storms as they make their way on through. Leestown Road, we were just talking about the power lines there down, they're across the roadway there on Leestown. So not only are we without power and power lines are down, but they're actually on top of the road there on Leestown Road. So we may get some additional reports coming in over the next little bit. Here's where we were just moments ago with that live shot. Just to the south of the Fayette County line in northern parts of Madison County. You're right on top of Interstate 75, not far from the river, and that's the leading edge of that storm that is making its way on into Madison County. If we still have that shot and our folks are safe in getting that, maybe they're inside the car looking out, as that storm moves in, guys, if we could take that shot again, would be extraordinary to see how that storm is moving in on that part of it as well. So I would imagine we are, our crews there safely inside. And notice how the cloud has now moved to the east. You don't see that big dark cloud, but we are going to watch the rain begin to really open up here. And it looks like our folks are safe inside here. And you'll see the birds kind of flying around there quickly to get on out of the way. And now all of a sudden, watch how quickly the rain just begins to kick on in. And there we go with the pouring rains right on top of basically the Fayette-Madison County line, northern Madison County, and the heavy rains are setting in as those winds may crank up 40, 50 miles an hour, if not a little bit better than that. So that's this part of the storm here on the south side of that. The damaging wind threat, though, Paris to Winchester. Wow, batten down the hatches. That's going to work toward southern Nicholas County, over toward Montgomery County as well. Micah, what have you got?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. Damaging wind threat, that is our main thing we're focusing in on. I wanted to get you updated to all these updates. Remember, like Chris was talking about, Leestown Road in the Midway area, Midway over toward the railroad tracks downtown. That area right there, the mobile spotter reporting power lines down, not fully on the road, but it's actually at the height that if you have plenty of rain, you can't even see that. So it's the height of your car, and you'll run right into that. That is definitely a hazard. Once again, the area of 3795 Leestown Road. So just heads up for that as you're heading toward Midway. Another update also, we're getting one of the tree is down on a car on Oxford Road. And we have what now? Say that again, our producer. Okay, here's a fence down in Anderson County. We got a few pictures sent in on Twitter. And not only Anderson County, but that is going to be one that you are going to see a picture of. Seems like each and every county here from all the way through West Virginia, it seems like, as it rolls down I-64. So that is a fence down Anderson County. More updates on Twitter as we're getting a lot of Twitter pictures that we'll get out to you. And also some power outages too. Now we got to keep you updated on as you track throughout the rest of your afternoon. Versailles, it got rough there just about 30-45 minutes ago. Power outage there, and that's from James Starr. Also sending in some more pictures, Jean Claude Temple, of just some Lexington pictures, man. You really see this thing bowing out, but Lexington and Fayette County law enforcement has reported numerous trees down on the north side of Lexington. That's where actually the brunt of it came through, was the north side of Lexington right through downtown. Also, a power line is down on Newtown Pike, and that's a totally different situation from the power lines down from, over in the Leestown Road area, Midway area. So there's two actual locations, Newtown Pike here in Fayette County, and also work your way up toward Midway and northern portions of Woodford County across Leestown Road. Getting a lot of these power lines down. That's where it gets really kind of tricky and very hazardous as you're traveling, because it starts raining on you real hard. Well, you can't even see those power lines hanging over the road, especially what we saw there on the Skycam. And a lot of our Skycams is showing up some pretty nasty conditions as well as it travels right through Winchester at this very moment. Keep that in mind across the bypass and also downtown. This moves eastbound from Winchester and Clark County, and the next in line is going to be Mount Sterling. Mount Sterling heads right toward you in just about 10 to 15 minutes. But Winchester now starting to feel the brunt of that. Travels down 64. And Chris, we saw yesterday there were